My name is Charles Malki, biologist and plant expert with Ivy Organics, where we grow cool plants, and today we're going to be talking all about roses. Here we are at the last week of January, and we are here to prune these rose bushes that are here behind me for my friend Sheila. With a bare root system such as this plant here in front of me, but over the years it's going to continue to grow into something like this, and it's very important that every single year you prune your roses, and the goal is to maximize the number of healthy blooms. And we're going to talk about the concepts of pruning your plants to, one, accomplish long stem roses versus having a more compact, larger bush with maximum blossoms. And I'll explain to you how we can accomplish those two extremes, or you can feel free to modify and do something in between to accomplish an average goal of longer stem roses with maximum blossoms. And check out these rose bushes behind us that we're going to work on next. So the first step when pruning your roses is to remove all the dead wood. And that's the reason that it's very, very important to not begin the pruning process until after the last chance of frost has passed. If you pruned your plants early and you still have some frost dates, there's going to be some more dead wood in your plant. So come in a little closer, and the two tools I'm going to be using now is either my handsaw or I'm going to use these rose pruners. And take a look at the dead wood that we're going to be focusing on to help open and help us improve the visibility of how we're going to end up pruning it. So take a look at this dead wood that's right here, and then we're going to follow that all the way down to where it's died right next to the trunk of the rose, which is right here. So I'm basically going to go with my hand pruners like so. Excuse me, cat. Excuse me. And then we're just going to go here with the pruners. We're going to go as close as we can to the trunk of the rose, and we're going to cut. Hopefully you got that. Come on, cat. Here we go. Now we got it. And there we go. And we're going to continue that process throughout. Make sure you've got your gloves on, because you can see I got stuck in that quite a few times. That would have been my skin had I not had these leather gloves on. Pause. So here I am with my table of materials that we're going to be used to accomplish this rosing demonstration. In order to prune your rose, these are some helpful tools. You're going to want to make sure you've got your leather gloves. I've also got my handsaw. I've brought also with me my pruners. The pruners will be used for the smaller branches, the handsaw for the larger branches that we've got to prune. I've got my 3-in-1 ready to use spray. The reason for that is to help keep your plants significantly cooler after spraying them. And then I've also got my 3-in-1 plant guard colors, brown or white or green, and we'll explain that in a minute, to basically seal off all of those pruned surfaces to avoid the risk of any borers entering those canes and causing any damage to the plant. And then I've also got my loppers as well. To begin, most gardeners start with a rose that's of this size, and this is a rose I just picked up from the nursery. Specifically, this is called the Olympian variety. But take a look here. This here is the rootstock, and upon it are these grafted onto Olympian rose quality hybrid tea roses. So the original plant was probably right here and pruned back. So this here would be rootstock. The scion wood, which is the wood that controls the quality and the color and the scent of the roses, is grafted upon that rootstock. And so what you have here is this beautiful structure of a plant. You can see that this particular grower used wax to help retain the moisture within the plant. The Ivy Organics products is going to accomplish the same thing for us. The first thing I want to do before planting a plant like this, and we may be doing a planting lesson on this towards the end of the video or a part 2 to the video, but you're going to want to first remove any of the damaged canes, such as this here. So we're going to take that off. You can see here there's some more damaged wood. So we're going to prune that back as close as we can to the underlying stem. And then take a look at the structure of the rose now. We've basically got the goal when accomplishing the structure of a rose is to create basically a vase shape structure. And the grower tried accomplishing that, but when you're trying to do about 1,000 of these per hour, or maybe faster, maybe a little slower, that they're going extremely fast. The goal is to basically have some good branching in an open direction. This branch over here I like in particular. If you come around, you can see this one over here is coming out and away from the center of the plant. But then on this side, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 canes. The first thing I want to do is actually remove this younger, smaller cane, because it's going to be competing with this larger upper cane for light, and light is ultimately what's going to control the health of the rose. So we're going to remove this underlying cane, again pruning it back as close as we can to the trunk of the tree. The other thing that also caught my eye immediately is the fact that we've got 3 canes in one position, and these 3 canes are all going to be competing for light in that same area. So the goal again is to basically go with your pruners and to open that center part of the rose, is to simply come back here and we're going to prune that cane as close as we can to the trunk of the tree. And you can see that I could have brought it down a little closer, and this one over here a little closer. I'm going to do that when I've got a little bit more time, but the goal is to bring it down as flush as possible so that as the rose continues to grow, it can heal over those wounds. We're also going to cover those wounds with the Ivory Organics 3-in-1 product, which we're going to do towards the end. But let me now explain to you what this will do for your plants. The goal when protecting your plant is it's going to do protection against sunburn, insects, and rodents. For use on your roses, fruit, nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrubs, it's a non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic product. And over here it says register material for use in organic agriculture. The benefits that are in it and the way this product works on repelling these insects and rodents is the fact that it has castor oil, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint oils within the product. And that's what's going to help basically maximize the health and the life of these roses. Well, let's get started now. So just as with this particular rose, the goal is to basically create an open vase-like structure. And as you can see, I'm going to bring this a little closer to you. You can see that so far we've accomplished just that. The other thing that caught my eye is that this branch here is going towards the middle, and in order to really accomplish that vase-like structure, because as these continue to branch, it's really going to fill in the central part. There's no need for a branch in the middle, so we're going to take this guy out as well, like so. And then what I'm looking at is, and this is important because this is what we're going to do within this entire rose mass that's behind me, that's completely overgrown, is we're now going to take and check out each of the individual buds on each of the canes and see in which direction they're coming out. As you can see, these are beginning to swell and grow over here and over here. And let's see on these, you can see there's some smaller ones on this side. So I'm focusing on the buds, and you can see that along the branch there's some buds here, another bud here. And the buds are coming out where that leaf scar was. You can see over here there's a leaf scar. That was where the leaf was last year. And now there's a bud coming right out of it this year. Let's take a look at a couple more just so you understand this concept. If you take a look at the bud that's over here, right below it is that leaf scar from last year. So this was once a leaf in this position, and that leaf has since fallen, and now it's turning into a bud. And that's what's happening in all these, what appear to be random positions within these canes. But what we're going to do when pruning it is we're going to want to make sure that those buds are on the outside of this vase-like structure and not pointing in towards the middle. So when pruning now this back, what we're going to look at is we're going to try to look at the direction of the bud. We've got a bud that's in this direction. Again, with these grows going so quickly, they pruned it over here, but there are no buds along this cane. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down to the nearest bud, which is right there, and we're going to prune it at an angle about 1/4 of an inch above the bud, like so. And you can see we've got a nice flush clean cut. These scissors are getting a little dull, so it's important to make sure you're using with some sharp pruners. And now we're going to go around and improve this cane. And as you can see, there's a bud right here and there's a bud right there, and I'm actually going to go and select the lower bud as it's going to be pushing away from this particular cane. So I'm going right there like so, and we're going to prune that back, and then we're going to continue the process. And now we have a choice of either going with this bud over here, which is directed towards the center, or we can go with this one over here that's going more out towards the side, and we're going to opt for side over center, and then there we go. And what we're going to do next with this particular plant is we're now going to take our 3-in-1 product and seal these tips. Let's do that right now. So now we've got a much smaller structure, but as you hopefully understand, the goal is to create that vase shape. We're going to have a lot fewer competing branches within the central part of the rows. They're all going to form into that beautiful vase shape and maximize on, you know, quality and size roses. What we're going to do next is we're going to take the 3-in-1 products, and I brought the green and the white, and today we're going to be focusing on the brown. I want to focus here on the lid, where you can read that it protects newly installed plants and trees and shields pruned and damaged surfaces. And that's our focus, is this latter statement, which is sealing those pruned surfaces. And I'm basically going to be using the Ivory Organics color brown here today. We're just going to take our product, which I've already added water to, and we're just going to now seal those tips. And again, the product has those 7 natural garden oils to help prevent any termites and beetles from entering that exposed wood, while the tree hopefully continues the healing process over spring and summer. And that's it. So here's an article that I got from plantmaps.com. I put in my zip code 90068, and it tells me over here that the average last frost is January 21st to January 31st. Keep that in mind now when pruning your roses. The goal is to make sure that, again, you're outside of that chance of frost period before you begin to prune your roses. We know here in this growing zone that our daytime temperatures are going to be in the 70s, mid 70s and 80s for the next few days. Nighttime lows are going to be in the upper 40s and actually in the lower 50s. So no chance of frost, even though we're here in this last week of January. So in this particular growing zone, based on the research that we've done, it's time to start pruning your roses now. So here we are next to the rose garden, and we're going to be focusing on this one particular rose on my right, which we're going to do together right now, and the rest of them I'm going to do on my own time. If you take a look here, the first thing that caught my eye are all of these wood chips and mulch that are around the roses. It's important to make sure that you keep them at least a couple of inches away from the stem and the trunk of the tree to avoid the risk of any stem rot. As these are sponges absorbing water, the tree trunk also will absorb water for an unnecessary amount of time, causing the bark to actually begin to rot if it's exposed to too much moisture. So make sure you keep the mulch away from the trunk of the rose by at least a couple of inches. So we've just accomplished that. The next thing we're going to do is focus on deadwood. As you can see, there's deadwood right here at the tip of my finger, and there's deadwood over here, and there's deadwood right here from the pruning that was done last year, not by me, but this here has about an inch of deadwood, which again is a perfect entry for beetles and termites to work their way through the deadwood and then into the heart of the rose. So, and we're going to treat this all with the Ivory Organics products towards the end of this video. What I'm going to do first is begin to cut the deadwood out. So if you want to follow me here, I'm just going to go here with our pruners. We're going to prune that a little closer to the rose, like so. And now we're going to go with these larger canes. We're going to use our loppers. So we're going to come in here like so. I want to make sure we get that as flush as we can. So you can see it's just breaking away. Some of this wood is very brittle. And then we're going to get this last dead wood that's right over here where my fingers are. And we're going to come in like so. And there's a little bit more right there. And that's it. So we've now removed all of the dead wood within the tree. The next step is to create that vase shape for the rose. And as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3 main canes that are in here. The goal is to identify where those buds are to make sure that they're in a position that's going to grow out and away from the center of the plant and not grow in towards the center. The goal with canes is if you can get them down and reduce to about 3 to 5 canes, that'll actually maximize the number of long stem, beautiful roses. Whereas if you have closer to 5 to 10 canes, you're gonna result in a more bushy appearing rose with shorter stems and just more blossoms. So if the goal is maximum blooms, then you're gonna want more canes. If the goal is to have longer stem roses, then you're gonna want fewer canes. So that's what we're gonna focus on right now. We've already got this reduced to about 4 canes, so we're gonna try to preserve that structure. And now the goal is to basically bring its height down to about 1 to 2 feet off the ground. And the first place I see that I would want to prune is right here where I see these leaf and this particular node. So I'm just gonna prune right there about a 1/4 inch above, and I'm pruning it back at an angle like so. This particular cane, I'm following it down. I'm looking for the leaf scars, because where that leaf scar is where that bud's gonna be. And I found a bud right there, and it's pointing away from the center of the plant. So we're just gonna prune like so. And there's 2 more canes to focus on. I'm gonna focus on the smaller one over here. We're gonna follow that cane up. I see that there's a bud right there, and that one's going off to the side. And we're gonna prune that out like that. And this is here now the last cane that we've got, and I'm gonna bring it up to where there are all of these nodes, and I'm gonna allow this to exist like so. And one last prune. So you can see what we've accomplished here is we've got cane number 1, 2, 3, and cane number 4, I've allowed to have a couple more branches and structures on it, so it'll actually bud in all of these different locations and fill up this particular zone. I could as well bring it down after reevaluating it. I'm gonna bring it down to this point over here, and I'll explain to you why after I get through here. So if you take a look, I actually brought it down to where there's that next bud, and this here will create its branch, and it's a fairly even structure. Had I left that branch on, this would have overwhelmed and possibly shaded these other canes from succeeding and basically maintaining a good health throughout the entire plant. So I've pretty much balanced the strengths between each of the canes by bringing this one down. So the next step, now that we've pruned this particular rose, is that we're gonna seal the ends of the cane and any exposed deadwood as well. As you can see, there's a lot of deadwood here towards the center of the crown. Over here, there's a lot of dead material right there on the tip of my fingertip. Even from the years past, these are prunes that were made at least a year, if not several years ago. These are all entryways for disease and pests to get in. And over here, you can see this is, even though I just pruned it today, you can see this is a lot of dead wood that has been that way for at least a year, if not several years. So what we're gonna do is I'm going in with just different colors, so you can also, as the viewers, make a choice on what you'd prefer. But I'm going here with the Ivory Organics color brown, and next I'm gonna go with the Ivory Organics color green on this next cane. And lastly, I'm gonna go with the Ivory Organics color white, and we'll put that over here on this particular cane over here. And for the rest of this, I'm actually gonna go with color brown. I think the brown would actually look pretty natural if that's the goal, and basically seal all of that exposed deadwood that's right there in the heart of the plant. By preserving, I just called it the heart of the plant, but by preserving this particular zone, we'll always be able to get more canes in the future years, and this is gonna help maximize the longevity and the health of the rose. Oh, and we forgot to coat this 4th one over here as well. And there we go. You can see I'm starting to coat the entire cane. That's an option as well. You got to consider, even though we're now in the shade, that some of these canes, depending on your garden, may be exposed to full sun, and that might be too extreme and causing what's known as sunburn for the plant. In the winter, there's another phenomenon known as sun scald. You can either brush it upon the canes like this, or you can use a ready-to-use formula such as this. It accomplishes the same thing. Just make sure you shake it, and you can just spray that onto the canes as well, like so. And you can see that it's basically leaving a nice light white film, but it's not going to be as thick as the protection you'd otherwise get with the brush-on coat. But again, some protection is better than no protection. Imagine if you're, whether it's a rose or any other plant in your garden, exposed to too much sun, upon your skin. These plants are stuck out there in the sun, where your summer daytime light temperatures may be 13, 14, 15 or more hours. That's going to cause burn upon the plant, and especially if it doesn't have a good healthy canopy to shade that lower structure, whether it be the trunk or the lower underlying branches. So here are a couple of roses that we've saved from the rose garden through our pruning process. As you can see, we've got a lot of pieces, and you can see a lot of old wood that we're able to prune out of here. We've got another large pile that's behind you as well. But take a look at our beautiful rose garden post pruning. This is what it should look like. So if you've enjoyed this educational moment by Ivory Organics, be sure to like it, and most importantly, by subscribing below, you'll be connected to this and all of our other educational gardening videos. Thanks again for watching, and happy gardening.